Our purpose during this segment isn't really to teach knots, but rather I would like to talk a little bit about the language and the commonalities and maybe clear up some confusion people have with the language surrounding knots. First of all, let's identify the different ends of the rope. The end that we're typically working with, we call the working end. Sometimes we refer to it as the running end of the rope. The other end, the bulk of the rope that's going to the rope bag or maybe to the coil of rope, is the standing part. That has some implication in the way we teach knots or even discuss the subject of knots, the working end versus the standing part. Another term that's kind of confusing to people is, what is a bight? Well, a bight is definitely the creation of a loop where we're connecting something to that rope. But further defining it, a bight has two strands of rope in it, and they are parallel, just like a railroad track. They're parallel. And they stay parallel throughout the course of the knot. So if I tie an overhand on a bight, I should be able to look at this and see my railroad tracks going around this overhand till it comes out to the connection point at the top. They stay parallel throughout the knot. Versus a loop. A loop has a cross in it. Now, this loop can be defined by the working end on top of the standing part or the working end underneath the standing part. Bight, the two strands of rope are parallel. A loop is a cross. A good example of a loop is in the bowline, the creation of a bowline. I start with the loop and the working end is on top of the standing part. The working end comes through that loop, goes around the standing part back into the top of the loop. But more importantly, in terms of this language, what are we looking at? Well, do you see the bight? There's definitely a bight right here, and it's captured by the loop. While we have the bowline here, we can talk about another term that is important in rigging, not just knots, but in rigging, is the gain. In other words, our overall dimensions of our rigging. This has a lot of implications in how efficient we're rigging stuff, especially like in confined spaces, maybe underneath tripods, that sort of thing. We want to minimize our gain so we can maximize our workspace. Very important in anchor construction, knot tying. Matter of fact, that you could argue that it has its most importance at this very elemental stage of rigging, that first knot that we tie. So get used to controlling the gain, keeping it small and compact.
This video shows how to tie the overhand knot, the simplest knot of all. Make a loop in the end of the rope. Next, tuck the tail end through the loop. Pull the end to tighten the knot. It can be used as a simple stopper knot and to prevent a rope's end from fraying. This video teaches you how to tie the double overhand knot. Form a loop in the rope and pass the end through it. Pass the end through the loop again and tighten the knot. The double overhand makes a secure stopper knot. This video teaches you how to tie the double fisherman's bend. Overlap the two ends. Wrap one end around both ropes 2 full turns. Then pass this end back through these turns and pull it tight. Next, pass the other end 2 full turns around both ropes. Pass this end back through these turns and pull it tight. Finally, pull on both ropes to tighten the 2 knots against each other. This video teaches you how to tie the figure-8 knot. With the tail, make a loop in the end of the rope. Then continue around the rope before passing the tail down through the loop to complete the figure-8 knot.
Following the figure-8 knot is the figure-8 follow-through. For this, you're going to need a lot of rope. So we're going to start right here in the middle. We're going to do the figure-8 knot, just as we just did. figure 8, and we're left with a long tail. This is mainly used for rock climbing and other rescue situations where you need a loop to connect something to. And so in this case, we're going to use this as an improvised harness. Say this is a harness attachment. We're going to go through the harness, and the figure 8 we just made with this strand, we're going to follow with the end this strand. So that means we're going to follow it through the hole. We're going to go back around this way. Okay, we're still following the same strand. We're going to go down there. This strand here, so we're going to follow it around. We're going to follow it up out there. And this is called the figure 8 follow through. As you can see, it makes a loop there and a loop there. When you know it's done right, it has 2 strands, 2 strands, 2 strands, 2 strands, and it comes out with 2 strands. The one thing I would suggest with this knot, the tail on this end, this little piece here, is too short. So unfortunately this knot is a little bit of a pain to actually undo and to make that longer. The only way to do that really is to start your figure 8 up more on the rope like here. So let me just do it again real quick. We got a figure 8 like that. We're going to pretend that this is our harness. I'm going to go through there. And there. We're following that same rope the whole time actually. That's what makes this knot easy to do, easy to learn. And I'll show you another way to do this knot in just a minute. Oh, messed that up, huh? I knew I messed it up because I wasn't following it. Okay, through there. Okay, so that's figure 8. We got 2 strands, 2, 2, 2, and it's nice and neat. It's not over-tangled. Okay, and just this knot alone, with a long enough tail, should be able to hold most loads. Body weight especially, that's what it's made for. But just in case, this end strand is long enough this time, or we can do a fisherman's knot. And that is simply going around like this, and then going through. What that does is it creates a knot. You pull tight. It creates a knot, so
This video teaches you how to tie the prusik knot. Use a piece of cord formed into a loop. Pass the knot around the rope 3 times inside the loop. Make sure the turns lie neatly beside each other and pull the knot tight. This video teaches you how to tie the water knot. Tie a loose overhand knot in the end of one strap. Thread the end of the other strap in the reverse direction, following the exact path of the first overhand knot. Finally, pull tight to complete the knot. This video teaches you how to tie the clove hitch using the end of the rope. Pass the end of the rope around the pole, continue across the standing end and around the pole a second time, thread the end under itself and pull tight to form the clove hitch.
So when you're tying this knot, you're going to make 2 loops. You're going to make 1 loop with a strand behind it like that. Make another loop with the strand in front. Over here. So 1 behind, 1 in front. Now all you have to do is pancake them together and clip the carabiner through both. The Munter hitch.
Wrap it around my hand 3 times. I reach under and grab the middle one, pull it, go over the top and through the middle again, and that makes the alpine butterfly knot.
This video teaches you how to tie the girth hitch or strap hitch. Pass the loop of the strap around the harness, strap or rope. Thread the other end of the strap through the loop. Make sure the strap lies neatly and then pull it tight. This video demonstrates how to tie the hasty harness. Tuck a loop of the strap into the victim's waistband. Pass both ends back between the legs and forwards around the thighs. Insert both ends through the initial loop and then pass the ends around the waist until the strap is all used. Join the ends of the strap using a square, that's a reef knot, backed up with half hitches. For lifting, attach a carabiner through the loop and the turns around the waist.
Hi guys, in this episode I'd like to cover the Wrap 3 Pull 2. Basically the Wrap 3 Pull 2 is going to be the best way that we have for attaching webbing around a cylindrical object when we want to create an anchor out of that object. Okay? What we're going to do here is we're actually going to take our piece of webbing, make sure it's long enough to actually wrap around our cylindrical object 3 times. This could be a tree, this could be a pole, this could be all kinds of different things. In this case it's a bucket. But we're going to go ahead and wrap around that. Okay, 1, 2, okay, 3 times. When you're wrapping around there, try to avoid any twists in your wraps, okay? And we're going to finish this off when we're done by tying a water knot on these 2 ends, okay? So we'll go ahead and start off with our original water knot, simple overhand, okay, like so. We'll take this end and we'll go ahead and do that as a retrace here. Once again, trying to avoid any twists or kinks in the system. If you end up with 1 or 2 twists in there, not going to be a big deal. Doesn't mean you have to untie it. Okay. Wrap this around here. Okay. Like usual with our water knots, we want to make sure those come out nice and flat. And then we leave 2 to 4 inches or so of tail there. Okay. Once that's accomplished, since it's called the Wrap 3 Pull 2, what you want to do is actually pull the other 2 pieces of webbing that were around your cylinder, okay, or around your tree or whatever that happens to be, okay, and you want to pull it to where your knot ends up right up against the tree and these other 2 wraps end up pulled out away from there, okay. At that point then you can go ahead and hook a carabiner in right here where my fingers are, and that could function as your anchor point from there. The way this works is it creates kind of a tension as it wraps around here a few different times, and it actually eliminates the knot for the most part from being pulled upon. You'll find that this knot doesn't tend to tighten or cinch down a whole lot and shouldn't be too hard to untie later. And it kind of helps keep the full strength of the webbing around here. In this case, this 1-inch tubular webbing has a breaking strength of right around 4,000 pounds. You'll be able to keep most of that strength by utilizing the Wrap 3 Pull 2. Okay?